Hello everyone. Let's start with something simple. Have you ever eaten an apple before? I'm sure all of you did. And the core looks like this, the same every time. But what if you cut the apple horizontally? You will see something different. The core becomes a perfect star shape. Now let's try this. How many sticks do you see? Is it 3 or 4? Well, if you stand on the left side, it might seem like 4, but from the right, it's only 3. So which one is it? Ultimately, how many sticks you see depends on where you're standing. It's not just about what you're looking at, but how you're looking at it. This idea of perspective is crucial, not just with apples or sticks, but when we're dealing with more complicated issues. Perspectives can shape our understanding because it influences what we focus on and how we interpret it. For example, a government policy that seems beneficial from one angle might have unintended consequences when viewed from another. Let me explain this with one thing that we all went through, which is the pandemic. During that time, many countries, including Canada, provided direct payments to citizens. Payments were based on income. Lower income family got more, while higher income family received less or none at all. It seemed fair. Support was given based on needs, which makes sense. But is it that simple? What if you look at it another way? Well, it seemed great during the pandemic, but what about after? Let's shift our perspective together to what happens in the post-pandemic. Take a look at this graph. In 2022, after the pandemic, inflation has peaked at 8.1%, and by 2023, it's still higher than before. To put it simply, if something cost $100 in 2020, it will cost more than $115. Isn't that just $15 more, you might wonder? To many of you, and to me at first, inflation just seems like price going up a bit. Maybe just paying one more dollar for a good you want to buy. But let me share with you a personal story that changes my view. So one summer, my mom and I was living in Saskatchewan with 13 other people, and there was one couple who just graduated from the University of Saskatchewan. They used to live in big single-family houses, but as rent rised, it has forced them to downsize into a small single room. Every evening, I'd watch them to head out to the grocery store before it closed, because that's where you can get more discount on meat and vegetables. As this should be an exciting time for their life, where they can build their careers and even start a family. Inflation has trapped them in a cycle of compromise. Smaller budgets, smaller rooms, and endless searching for cheaper options. It was in those moments that inflation has seemed more than just a number to me. It became real. This got me thinking, where does this inflation come from? And why does this all happen? And the answer lies in what I'm asking for, the government policy where it gave out direct payments to citizens. It seemed like a good idea, and at first, and in many ways, it was. But when we shift our perspective and look at it from the post-pandemic angle, what was meant to provide relief in short term had unintended long-term consequences. And as more money entered the economy, the value of that money dropped and price started to rise, putting more burdens on lower income families. And inflation doesn't impact everyone the same way. Wealthier people can invest in assets like real estate or stocks, which grow with price. But lower income families, they rely only on wages, and wages don't really keep up with inflation. Just like the star inside the apple, we have to shift our perspective to see the true impact of a policy. When governments issue direct payments, The goal was simple, to provide immediate relief. But we can't just focus on that moment. We have to zoom out and shift our perspective to the long term. What seemed like a lifeline at first became a double-edged sword, and the very people who were supposed to help the most were hurt the most at the end. This is why shifting our perspective is crucial. It was only when I shifted my perspective and looked at it differently through the couple's eyes that I realized inflation is more than just a number. It was when I shifted my perspective from pandemic to post-pandemic that I realized how policy can be a double-edged sword. Said by Frank Sonnenberg, changing your perspective will change your world. And it's true, but it goes beyond that. When you broaden your view, you become more empathetic and aware of how others are affected. By changing how you look at things, you can better understand the struggles others face and begin addressing the hidden challenge in our society. This awareness can inspire action, and that's when real changes happen. Changing your perspective can also change others' worlds. So I challenge you, next time you hear about something or read a headline, ask yourself, what's the unseen side of this? And who's being impacted in ways I didn't notice before? It was in those moments that we became true change makers. We all have the power to see the unseen, to notice the hidden star in the apple or overlook struggles in our society. And when we act on that awareness, we don't just change our perspective, but we start to build a better world for everyone. Thank you.